how do we collaborate at a social level, which means we're going to talk about stakeholder relations. And one can already see with the panel that sits here that if any of these 5 people got together at a social level for business, for the arts, anything can happen. Any one of the 5 people that are sitting here, or as a matter of fact, even collectively all 5, something can happen. All right, I want to open it up with you, Ilza. Any business has to do an assessment of its own environment, meaning you have to look at who your stakeholders are and how do you weave through those kind of relationships and build them and make them sustainable. How would one go about doing that?
So it's quite simple. Acknowledging the strengths and what the different roles are that each stakeholder plays is the starting point. The point at which the consumer is going to be most receptive is only going to be found when all parties collaborate. Creative, media, the media owners, and that's really, we all have to have the same interest: driving revenue, investing, having a better return on our investment, whether it be from a marketing or an advertising point of view. You're nodding furiously there, Nick.
From my perspective, with regards to relations and stakeholders and how we collaborate and how we do things, I basically believe in outsourcing what you're weak at, and you build your relations with your stakeholders to bring their strength to the core, so that where you're weak, you outsource it, and where you're strong, you build. And that's how you justify who you are in collaborative relationships with. And I think that that's a key critical component of determining stakeholders' space in the game, whichever game you're playing.
The space that we are in, I don't think it's a one-man show type of thing. We need to work together so that everything is out there for people and for people to actually support us as masses.
The discussion around collaboration is great, but I think the important thing is, who are the players in that space, and who isn't playing in that space, because certain collaborations can take you up to a certain point, and you never go beyond that point, because there are other people who are supposed to sort of join in, and they're not. Ilza spoke about a common vision. So if from an artistic point of view, and from a creative point of view, and from a positioning of South Africa creatively point of view, which is what your mandate is, then you have to have corporates getting involved. In my view, corporates in this country are quite lax. There's no serious consideration of investing in the arts.
The interesting thing about government is that we are not only expected to be a player in the collaborations, but our role also has to be how we create an enabling environment wherein collaborations can happen. So whether it's through legislation or through policies, we have to ensure that we create the environment that encourages the collaborations to happen, and for those collaborations in turn to support the vision for the country. But I think fundamentally there is one question from a creative industry's point of view we need to ask, is how is it that we can collaborate as South Africans to build a better appreciation for locally manufactured creative goods? And is it that we can use our patriotism to ensure that we grow the creative industries in a way that each one of us realizes our individual roles, but also that individuality can translate into collaborations that can build an appreciation, whether it's through local content, promoting our own artists, promoting our own craft, visual arts, design work, and ensuring that once we have built that appreciation and we have a common understanding around it, we can export that appreciation and create revenue that can really build a country and build our market share of the creative industries.
We have a lot of really bad communication out there, and that's due to a lack of collaborating or having the consumer and the South African at the heart of everything that you do. But in the same breath, when amazing work is done and it yields a really fantastic return for clients, it's not making news headlines. It's on smaller little advertising and marketing blogs. And if you walk into a creative agency, there's a little trophy up against the wall. And that's as far as it goes. So I think as South Africans, we need to acknowledge that there are lots of different creative industries that we need to, shout about.
All right. I mean, this morning we were woken up by rude headlines about our current account deficit. We are importing more than we are exporting, and it's getting worse. And the creative arts is where we could really export, because this is intellectual property, it's IP. It doesn't need a factory. And when it comes to crossing the borders and making sure that the talent that we have, and it comes in droves and droves, has anyone on the floor done that sort of thing where, you are exporting this creative talent that we have? Shimza?
I think we've been doing that in the music industry, where we see the likes of Black Coffee being like one of the biggest DJs in the world. I mean, we travel now to like Amsterdam and New York and Miami because of the export of house music that we've had from South Africa to the world.
The difficulty, Mr. Mabena, is that our experience has been that countries that do well in capturing the international market for creative goods, or at least companies that do well in that space, are those that are doing well first in their own countries. So what they export is a surplus of the products that cannot be, because there's a saturation of supply in their own countries. So they export that.
We don't have a single identity as a country. And where you don't have a single identity, or where you don't rally behind a single idea that drives whatever that industry is, you know what Silicon Valley is, as one example. When you talk to Americans, as an example, love them or hate them, they're very clear about their identity and how patriotic they are. The one thing that we need, and this is going to sound really autocratic, but you actually need a single-minded approach in the control of the ecosystem in its entirety, right?
I agree with Greg 100% when he talks about our industry specifically needing to attract the right people. The challenge that we have, though, is that the awareness and the viability or the credibility that the industry is given is not where it should be. So, I mean, in terms of managing that to the broader, public is really important.
I had a 45-minute conversation yesterday where the corporate was saying that we want to collaborate, but their terms are very much their terms. And it's just basically a question of, we'll pay X amount, but these are the terms, and they all are their priorities. So I would rather say no to that and build my own ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, if I can get loyalty from 15 people in this room who will bring another 15 people, then I'm owning that ecosystem. I'm not relying on the corporate who's got the mixed idea of how to partner. Do you understand, at this point in time?
The advertising industry, I particularly want to comment about. Why is it that people are not recognizing the achievements of South African advertising industry? Is it because it's not reflective of the South Africans? We can't relate to our own advertising industry because it portrays the majority of people, black people, in a particular way, which is very sometimes disparaging and condescending sometimes. So I think we also need to make those changes in the collaborations that we make, before government comes in at full blast and say, this is the marching order, and it's not going to be nice. So it's better that it becomes an industry thing before government comes with the laws that might be deemed draconian.
This is what we have done. How do you then show people that this is what we have done? Because we have to channel people to a certain focal point of thinking in a certain direction. So there you have it. Thank you very much to the panelists. If you could give them a round of applause, please. And thank you very much to Kaya FM. You can give them a round of applause. Thank you. And thank you to Claudi for giving us material. Give him a round of applause too. And to the organizers, thank you so much. This will definitely grow. And on my show as well, sometime next week, we'll round it all off and give you the outcomes of what's happened. And thank you very much for coming through and your patience. Thank you.